Game prices. Game prices. I know. Games are getting expensive. But it does seem like a change is coming. Because some big developers are turning down the prices. Just for a few select games. Also, some are bumping it up to 80 and keeping it there. Some are bumping it up to 80 and just, hey, let's move it back down to 70. Let me get back to freaking 60. Yeah.
I've heard you, and with today's story, it seems the rest of the industry is also beginning to hear you. Now, this year started with the fear that gaming is getting more expensive. Microsoft and Nintendo pushed the ceiling to $80, and
Nintendo, what are you doing?
impossibly high ask, especially as everything else has got more and more pricey. But elsewhere in the industry, something quieter is happening.
Yeah.
It's this. The games that you are actually buying, well, we've got the data about them, and as it turns out, they're getting cheaper. $100 for Grand Theft Auto 6. That was the rumor that...
Bullshit. It's probably gonna be 100 for the for an edition, deluxe edition, collector's edition, but 100 for the standard edition. Are people stupid?
kicked off this year's anxiety about game prices. It was
Come
one
on!
that Take-Two have been happy to downplay, if not outright refute. But with GTA now delayed, we won't know the truth until next autumn, though we've already seen audiences reject the new price ceiling of $80. Xbox tried to put The Outer Worlds 2 at $80, presumably buying some headroom for Microsoft's lovely 30% profit margin demand, but they quickly reversed that decision. The inference from that? They didn't see enough pre-orders. People essentially voted with their wallet. Just that, unlike real votes, the great thing about voting with your wallet is you don't need to do anything to cast your vote. It turns out audiences just wouldn't pay that price for The Outer Worlds 2.
No! I thought Outer Worlds 2 would be amazing! Like, just one-of-a-kind game like the first one. Well, not really one-of-a-kind, but going back to the old-school RPG. But did they? No! They made it more, what do you say, available to everyone. They ditched some stuff to make the grind easier and just more intuitive. Stupid decision. Microsoft, you gotta, if it's your fault, I don't know, but you gotta fucking do something, because that is so stupid, so dumb. I mean, check out what they're doing or do something about it, you know? Because you hyping up your games, awesome, freaking awesome. But then again, hey, if you don't make your games better, then what the hell are we doing? Huh? I know you need money. Fuck, you're ditching the Xbox console. You're ditching console. Fuck it. In 5 years' time, I'll be able to play Xbox games on my fridge. I don't need that shit. Give me good games. Give me good games.
Pay the regular price, because selling at a normal price, the game did have a top 10 launch. Though the right product at $80 will sell. Mario Kart World kind of proved that. Even bundled with Switch 2 for many buyers, you don't get a 92% attach rate across 9.57 million copies.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Shit.
Without lots of people shelling out the full amount. But that's only one side of this story, because the reality we need to dive into today is about how off-console prices have been plummeting. But there's a not so funny thing hanging over all of this, and it's the simple fact that video game spending is actually falling, but subscriptions are rising. We've seen that in analyst reports, and too often, Well, we're paying for subs we don't use. That's why Rocket Money is today's video sponsor, because they make it easy to get a handle on your subscriptions and get saving. And you can even get started today for free at rocketmoney.com/Bellular.
That is freaking smart.
Rocket Money will securely and safely identify recurring charges for you, and then you can cancel them in just a few taps. They've basically put the work in to make that real smooth, so if this is a chore you've been putting off, well, now's the time. They make it easy. But it's not just that. Rocket Money will also help you with bill negotiation. You simply upload your bill and they will be able to help. For a personal example, whenever my internet went to its off-contract price, I was able to renegotiate a speed upgrade and also half my monthly bill. But here's the thing, I was overloaded with paperwork and I actually did that negotiation late. And by doing it late, I basically wasted a bunch of money. So with the likes of Rocket Money being able to help, you can actually go and make progress in those things way more easily.
Yes.
And that is the huge value of Rocket Money. They make it all easy. They've canceled over $500 million of subscriptions. They've helped save customers up to $740 a year when using all of their app's premium features. They've other great tools beyond what I've mentioned, so if you want to spend less and save more, which, you know, sounds pretty good to me, you can join the over 5 million Rocket Money members using rocketmoney.com/Bellular, or just by clicking the link below. You can get started for free.
Go subscribe to him right now.
Some money and then unlock more features with premium, and that's rocketmoney.com/Bellular News. If you've bought a game on Steam in the last 18 months, you probably paid $20 or less. In fact, you've probably been paying less since 2023 than you did from 2020.
I don't know.
What are these numbers? Well, these numbers are from the research of Simon Carlos, who runs the excellent Game Discover Co. newsletter. He tracked average and median prices for the top 50 new monthly games on Steam during that period of time, ranked by copy sold, and you're looking at the graphs now. We see a median price...
Is that... Hold on. 1999, 1999, and then... Woo! It goes down to 949 after years' time?
Held. Now, in theory, that should favor more expensive games. They generate more revenue per sale. But even there, the median dropped from $23.75 to $20.35.
Ooh.
That's about 14% of a drop. And do bear in mind that as this has been happening, the currency has been inflating. So even as players feel like they are being pressured towards $80 games, what they're actually buying is getting cheaper and cheaper. And what's key is that this is not showing us what has been offered to players, it's showing us what players have actually chosen. It's showing the best-selling premium games on the platform, and that does feel like a bit of a win, right? That we are seeing...
Hold on, we gotta take a look at each chart. Okay. Look at this. Base price, $20. Copy sold, 4 million, 75 million. Yeah, think about it. Look at Borderlands, $70, 129. Okay? Good money. But what if they lower that shit to maybe 55 or 60? I bet you that gross revenue would be higher than 129 because more people would buy it. Look, even Silent Hill F, $70, which is crazy. Copies sold 371. That's not a lot. For a Silent Hill title? Okay, 500 would be awesome, but hey. So lower the price. I mean, look at this. No, I'm not a human. Sold way more. Double the copies sold than Silent Hill. No wonder. Because it's freaking cheaper. But Silent Hill, which is a big-ass IP, is doing worse. Though this is 15, so I mean, they didn't earn that much compared to Silent Hill. But I'm not saying sell Silent Hill for $15. No. Of course not. But, I mean, go back to 60, 55, 60, you know? I like that Dying Light the Beast did have a price point of 60. Though it is not. Like, is this a... Like, I would call this maybe like an expansion. I haven't played this. I don't know how big it is. But is that a full-on title? Or just an expansion? You know? how can they sell this for 60 and then sell Borderlands for 70? I mean, hey, what?
That does feel like a bit of a win, right? That we are seeing smaller teams with cheaper games beginning to dominate the sales space. That says a lot for the value of Steam, and in a world where people would have to compare the price of a full console plus a subscription for multiplayer and more expensive games, and weigh that up to...
Not only that, but then you have all these subscriptions for fucking Amazon, Netflix, Paramount, like HBO. Damn.
To a Steam machine with generally far cheaper games.
Yeah.
Well, I think it also makes the Steam machine look stronger as well. Overall,
It
though,
does.
it's somewhat validating an argument you see all the time, right? The argument people make every time someone suggests an $80 price point, which is that you make your profit in aggregate. So make your games cheaper, and then more people will buy them. Buying 4 $20 indie games is to many people better than one $80 AAA game. Surely that's what's going on. Surely that's what everyone is doing.
Bullshit.
Ish. Let's look more into the data. Carlos gave us the perfect example. It's the September releases on Steam.
Buying video games
like gangbusters at $20, with 4.6 million copies shifted on Steam alone. That's nearly double the sales of a full-price title like Borderlands 4. The immediate takeaway is a lower barrier to entry at the price of a couple of coffees, meaning you give yourself the widest possible audience and a big game. And in theory, that also means that more people can buy more games. But it's actually not quite that simple. You see, regardless of price, the majority of game players don't actually buy that many games. Circana's Future of Games report surveyed 2,500 US players on self-reported purchase patterns. About a third of the market says they buy just one game or fewer a year. Just under two-thirds, 63%,
33% less often than once a year? Like, the majority is like, what? One game a year? Holy shit. Once a month? Yeah, that is not many. Once every 3 months. Yeah, I think that is because games are getting, like, they're so expensive. Like, me, I'm buying less games too. Because, hey, one thing, there's a lot of MTX in games. But also, games are expensive. I can't buy like a freaking new game every month. Are you fucking mad? They're so expensive.
buy fewer than 2 games a year. That is absolutely insane to me, but I suppose when I think about what my norms are, or maybe you do the same, we probably have a sampling bias. One that is in and around enthusiast gamers. We do buy more games, but it seems that with broader audiences, that is less the case. Now, obviously, that's Circana doing a survey of 2,500 people in the US. It's good enough work, it's hypothesis-generating work, but obviously, it is just a survey. Though I would say that when you think about games overall, a lot of it is plausible. You see, a lot of people are only interested in buying this year's sport game, or this year's Call of Duty. Well, maybe not this year's Call of Duty. Maybe they bought Battlefield instead. But the majority of any product-based industry is often people who are gently engaged in it. Not people, perhaps, like you and me, but it's actually the top of the chart that complicates things here, because those people probably aren't the ones buying indie games for $20 en masse. No, that's the other 37% of people, but even that 37% is quite stratified. 22% say they buy a game every 3 months. That's 4 games a year, and that adds up with Valve's own data. Yes, Valve's own data suggests that users played only 4 games on
Valve? I mean, holy shit. Huh? They are doing it without even doing it. I mean, they like Gabe is just sitting there like, hey, okay. Oh, they have, okay, that developer has something shit to say. Okay. Oh, that too? Okay. Consumers, okay. Yeah, let's just have a big sale, huh? And then everything will be fine. You know, he doesn't need to do anything. No, he just sitting in Steam. It's just, I know they're doing stuff behind the scenes, but I mean, they don't go into the drama. They don't bite. You know, they don't buy it. They don't need to, because Steam is everything. Is they don't need any quality of life on the UI, on maybe one thing, their support system. You know, I do like the 2-3 hours refund shit they have. Like bump it up to 4. Unless a game like lasts for 2 hours. I mean, of course, but it all depends. But 4 hours? Yeah! But you can't beat Steam. There's no way in hell that anyone is gonna make a better product in the future than Steam. No. Unless Gabe is on the deathbed. Hey. Close down Steam before I have my last breath. Then maybe. But apart from that, I mean, it's Steam. No one beats that shit. No one.
Steam on average in 2023 and 2024. A further 10% buy a new game monthly, which is of course great for an industry releasing thousands of games a year. But we need to put this in perspective. If you bought Silksong and any other game in September, 2 games in 1 month, then you are only 4%.
Okay, but that is different because those 2 games doesn't cost $70. That's a little different. So it depends on what the survey said and what the ones who took the survey was thinking. You know, okay, I'll buy a game $10. Yeah, but that doesn't count because it's not fully priced, or it's an indie game, small indie game. You know, like I could buy a game every month if it was maybe $10 to $20. Yeah. But I don't think they thought about that. You know, I think it's more about from 40 to 70 price range that it was talking about. I think so. Makes sense.
Of the games market. That's kind of wild. And even if we're allowed to some swing and fuzziness because a survey is only as good as the survey, the point I think still does stand. And of course, it's a point that we do see in a lot of other things as well. Take whaling, right? Whaling and free-to-play games where the majority of the revenue does come from.
Hey. Yeah. Was it Where Winds Meet? Or wasn't that the game when somebody, like a person fucking paid, was it $42,000 for ship and all that? That's crazy. Like, I'm more inclined to buying stuff in game than to buy a game. If I like a game, yeah, there's a bigger chance I'm gonna buy like a skin than buy a game I'm interested in. I don't know why. Maybe because games are usually shit these days. You get excited, like the Bloodlines 2. Haven't played it, but I heard that is not like Bloodlines 1. Bloodlines 2 is like Outer Worlds 2 is to Outer Worlds 1. Yeah! Not good. But not good at all. No. Shit. You know, there's people that already invested a lot in Star Citizen, like in the tens of thousands. Exactly. Yeah. Like Starfield? What the fuck has Starfield to do with this?
From a very small strata of that game's player base. And when we see data like that, I think we begin to understand why all of those publishers and indie devs moved their releases away from Silksong, or of course, away from GTA 6. And in the case of the indies, it would especially be because most of those indies are at the same price point or cheaper than Silksong. So if you're releasing against Silksong, a game with massive cut-through to enthusiast audiences, if you're releasing against that, then, well, you're betting on the 4% of the market turning up that does actually buy multiple games a month. That doesn't really seem like a great strategy, does it?
No.
And here's the kicker. What if I told you there's another layer? You see, this chart does not distinguish between new games and already released games that are on sale. Every time someone buys a game that's been out for 6 months, they're probably not buying a new game that month to go along with it, regardless of price. So, more people aren't buying games, even as prices keep trending down. Now, if that is the case, as a bunch of this data suggests, well, why then are audiences feeling like they are constantly being asked for more and more? When people are asked to pay
Isn't that crazy? It's maddening how the industry is nowadays. Crazy. Where's the love? The only love you get in gaming nowadays, it's from indie developers. Everyone else is just money, money, money. It's sickening. I get it. They need to earn money. But holy fucking hell. If you make a good product, respect consumers' time, and then you have the MTX on the side, guess fucking what? People are gonna support you and pay, even if you're big or you're small. Look at Warframe. What the fuck? Again? Hello? Ubisoft? EA? Activision? Microsoft? Sony?
$80 or $70 for a video game, Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony are basically banking on a fairly simple principle, that the people who actually have money will spend it regardless of anything else that's going on. Essentially, they're betting on it being a premium product with inflexible demand. That is why marketing teams target those people. That's why those absurd collector's editions exist, right? The people who absolutely...
What the fuck? What the... What? Holy shit. $110 for collector set of Nintendo Switch game?
love games and have money. They're the people these companies can count on. The games industry basically thrives in people who can spend without thinking about it.
Yes. I think that's a lot of the money comes from deluxe editions, collector's editions and all that. They want those whales or the dolphins. Which
has always been the case. Buying more than one $60 game at launch has been unaffordable to people for years. But the problem is the proportion of people with money to spend freely actually does appear to be shrinking. Get this. As of September, the top 10% of earners accounted for 50% of US retail sales. And the very same year, spending in games is actually down. The 18 to 25 age group in the US is spending nearly a quarter less in games this year. And everyone, just in large, is down a couple of percent. But on the whole, most game spending is only a few points down. Now, given we're in rough economic times, that could seem like a good thing, right? Oh, the world is experiencing troubles, but games are only down in most categories by a few percent. What if I told you it's actually worse than that? You see, the difference that's been made up, right? What's made this only a few points down? Well, it's basically subscriptions making up the difference, because those have grown.
Game Pass, what a fail that has become after the price shit they're doing.
All year. But that comes from the bottom of the spending population, not the top, right? It comes from people who are seeking more and more value for their increasingly limited dollars, whilst also spending less and less on premium games. And I think that is the big tension that people are feeling. We're in a situation where game marketing and traditional big games are basically out of reach to most of the audience, more so than perhaps ever in recent memory. But the companies haven't changed how they talk to players as a whole. A lot of the market has changed underneath those companies, but it's not really like it seems they've really changed their comms to match. And that is leading to people feeling ignored. It's leading to people facing demands that they cannot meet.
Hey, for anyone who has bought Mario Kart World, is it worth $80? if it did cost 70, would you notice any difference? Fucking hell.
That's because the companies that used to be targeting them are now not targeting them. They are targeting someone with more disposable income. And that's a tough change to stomach. But by contrast, the $20 games on Steam are changing. Individual indie developers are watching game prices creep lower and lower, and they're just hoping that they will get enough sales to succeed, because they cannot afford to price higher and risk player rollback. Now, we're not quite at the mobile game space, where developers basically can't afford to price games as premium products anymore, but we are seeing a shift in how games are sold. And what that may lead to may not be great for all of us. Because if you can't ask players for more than $25 without facing comparisons to Silksong, then you may start having to scope your development very differently indeed. And that means that some traditional games simply would be out of reach. It could also mean that we do feel more and more nickel and dimed. So, it's not all doom and gloom. It actually seems there's a lot of vibrancy in the indie scene. But what we are seeing is a changing market, changing behaviors, and a AAA sector that is struggling to keep up pace with that change.
Yes.
So no wonder they're out of touch. And speaking of out of touch, Bungie. That's certainly something a lot of people would say about...
Speaking of out of touch...
and they have just had some not so rosy news. Basically, a big write-off at the same time that they kind...
We don't want to be dead. Hey, the reaction to that article is up on VikingNilsen TV. So if you watched this on a video, hey, go check it out on the channel. Okay? Go check it out. But the quote was, we don't want to be a dead live game. Yeah, we went through the article. They don't want to be a dead live game. I mean, we gotta listen to players moving forward. It's so bullshit. Bullshit. Speaking of the devil, indeed. But yeah, game prices. I think when it comes to great game prices, everything can change next year. It all depends how much Rockstar Games is pricing GTA 6. Are they going to charge 80, 70, or even 60? I mean, if they go on that route, pricing it 60, I think we're going to see that change. That, oh shit, are we going back? And people will follow. Will they do it? No, it's Rockstar Games. Of course they won't do it. But hey, we can only hope. 120? That's fucking not gonna happen. 120 for title? But 120? No! No! They won't charge 120 for a game! Deluxe edition, yes. I don't know, like, don't join in on the stupid people. Don't, it's Rockstar, believe me, they will. No, they won't. Deluxe edition, collector's edition. Yeah, bring him up. I'll buy it. Like they did with San Andreas. Standard edition? Fuck no. Don't join the stupid people in that stupid take. GTA 6 is gonna cost $100. It's not. It's not. It's just not. Of course not. Like, it's like saying, you know what? Human beings don't shit or pee. Huh? Of course they do. No, they don't. It's the same fucking argument.